Hello, my name is Linda Wasylciw, also known as L.M. Wasylciw and or Professor Scry, and I'm going to tell you a bit about me. I was second in a family of 6 children and grew up in a small farming community in northwest Alberta, Canada, far from the beaten path of industrialization. It was and still is a tranquil, safe place where everyone knows everyone. We ate eggs collected from the henhouse, homegrown vegetables from the garden, and non-pasteurized dairy from our milk cow, Molly. When I was a little girl, I would read anything and everything that I could get my hands on, mostly light fiction. And there is no doubt that my passion to write grew from my love of books. I have always loved books. Living as I did in a remote part of Canada, they were my avenue to places that I never imagined existed. Many of the books from my youth still remain with me, in my mind and on my bookshelf. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, On the Beach, and To Kill a Mockingbird, to name a few. When I read the story On the Beach, an assignment for my 8th grade English class, I felt certain that the world was doomed, and me right along with it. I was absolutely terrified and for months looked for that black cloud. As we all know, the world has not ended, though sometimes I wonder if it truly is doomed. But that's another story. I think I was 11 when I knew that I wanted to write something, anything that offered enough inspiration for someone to read beyond that first line, paragraph, or chapter. When I think back, I have this old faded picture in my mind, me as a little girl, and I see myself trailing Mom around the house. I was little more than 3 feet tall at the time and maybe 65 pounds soaking wet. It was decades ago, yet I can remember it as if it were yesterday. I was clutching a pen and paper, writing down what Mom was doing. Maybe she was my inspiration. Over those years, those scraps have gone to the wayside, as they do, and never made it into a novel. However, decades later, I had still hoped to write one day. I suppose my friends got tired of hearing about my dream, my elusive dream, and wondering if it ever was to become reality. Yet I hung on to that desire for my entire life, repeating it over and over in my mind, knowing that no dreamer is too small and no dreams are too big. Then finally it happened. I wrote my first novel, The Twisted Spire. From that day onward, I knew that there was no turning back. Within days of publication, I began the next story, and before I knew it, I had 2 on the go. Yes, 2 at the same time. At the start of each day, I never decide which story I will work on until after the coffee is brewed. I like writing more than one story at a time, though I can't really explain why. Over the years, I've written a number of books and 1 memoir. It's an eclectic collection that includes homelessness, missing and murdered Aboriginal women, dysfunctional families, child abuse, poverty and incest, dating violence and acquaintance rape, climate change, and to lighten the mood, there is even a historical murder mystery. At one point in my life, I had thought to write stories for my grandchildren, stories that I could read to them before bed. But time got away from me and it didn't happen. However, I'm pleased to say that very recently I have published my first middle grade or youth story, Elfinville, under the pen name Professor Scry. So I guess I've come full circle and am back at the beginning where I had planned to start. So there it is. I write every day. I am no longer the dreamer. I am living the dream.